Fight Time Network.
What's happening, Fight Time Network? It is your boy Lee, and dark weekend for the UFC. We have one of the rare off weekends we haven't seen in a couple of months. Nonetheless, for you diehard fight fans, it's fight time every day here over at Fight Time Network, and there is a lot of action coming up this weekend. You've got the PFL, you've got the LFA. There's a couple of people that have been interviewed on Fight Time Network that are actually competing in the LFA. We're going to shout those guys out a little bit later in the week, closer to the event, Thursday or Friday. But what I'm going to share with you now ultimately is going to be three great fights that I like in the PFL Friday night, and where I'm going to place my spot at. And then we got a great parlay for you as well over the course of the next few moments. So let's get right into it. There is three fights on this card. It's happening for you on Friday evening, 5 o'clock Eastern times when the prelims start. You catch it on ESPN2, same place that you catch the UFC. There's 9 bouts in total on the card, but I really got deep into these three, and they're what I'm going to share with you. First up, we have in the preliminaries, we got Josh Silveira versus Mike Shipman. Now, Mike Shipman is a plus 200 underdog and a lot of value on his line. And I watched both their fights back, and I still really like that play on Mike Shipman. I know Silveira is far more experienced. He knows what it's like to go into deep waters. He has a little bit more control, a little bit more pace to his wrestling. But I think I just see a few more paths to victory, ultimately, that Mike Shipman has. And at plus 200, to drop 2 or 3 units at a plus 200, man, with the probability that he may finish this, because I don't think it's a plus 200. I think it's half and half, and I'll tell you the factors why. So I mean, ultimately, Shipman, when you saw him start the round in his last fight, he has that great overhand right. He starts it right off the hop, and I mean, there's a lot of power behind that. If Silveira, the last couple of fights, there's been a couple of fights where this guy always seems to win by the other person getting injured, and he just lost to Impa Kasanjay. Kasanjay was able to reverse a lot of his grappling attempts. Kasanjay was able to get his back, able to get his mounted, and I believe with the prowess that Mike Shipman has, with the power behind him, and if he shows up in really good shape, there's a lot of ways Mike Shipman can ultimately get the victory here. He has the great ability that when people are attempting to take takedowns on him, to stay on his feet and stay balanced, and with Silveira struggling to get Kasanjay down, ultimately that draw me to a concern or a conclusion that Shipman ultimately may spoil the victory for Silveira if Silveira consistently tries to get Shipman down and ends up tiring, because when I look back at both their last fights, Shipman appeared to be in better condition. Of course, Silveira was in a 5-round as opposed to Shipman's 3-round. However, Shipman looked to be very grit till the very end. When Shipman's up against the cage, he's getting backed up, but he's always digging for that underhook. He's looking to move out. He was quite diligent on that in his last fight. He can certainly force a takedown, and he can also stay on top. So if he's able to get Silveira down, it'll be interesting to see what Silveira does, whether or not he'll get back up, or whether or not Shipman will ultimately be able to hold him down. Shipman is capable of landing the more damaging shots. I mean, in between these exchanges, if both men are defending each other's takedowns and there's a break, or they end up in the middle, I believe Shipman has the potential to put Silveira away more so than ultimately Shipman has the ability to put Silveira away more so than Silveira does. I believe that Silveira's striking is, although it's very tactical, it's just a matter of pepper in order to set up his shot to get you down to the ground and ultimately do what is best. Whereas when Shipman's throwing, he's throwing wild, and ultimately it could put a pace on Silveira that could ultimately see Shipman get the decision victory, or very well the KO is a good possibility. So with all these factors, I want to go Mike Shipman. That money line at plus 200 is absolute banging value. And then the next fight that I wanted to draw your attention to is on the second one up from the main card. It's Mads Burnell versus JJ Wilson. Now, I like Mads Burnell in this. He's coming in at plus 110. Fantastic value for the high likelihood that he's going to come away the victor here. Is probably one of the highest percentage projected likelihoods that I have out of the three fighters that I'm going to give you. Matt Burnell and JJ Wilson, they both have a heavy grappling approach. Burnell has proven that he's able to secure more control time. His grappling is more position based, whereas if you look at JJ Wilson, he usually gives up position to go for the kill, to go for the submission. You've seen it in his last fight where he was constantly chasing in armbar, whether after he already had like a good mounting position or a good back position. He was just trying to find the kill, and it's in the confidence that he could get up. However, when you're with a pressure grappler who chooses position over submission like Mads Burnell, if you go for the kill and get stuck on the bottom, that could ultimately mean that you've lost a round. So if JJ Wilson is playing that game in the grappling, it could very well turn against him quickly with the skill set and the grappling approach that Mads Burnell has. Ultimately, with the grappling prowess of both men, it is a great possibility that this ends up on the feet more so than they have in their last fights where they were against mainly strikers. In that instance, JJ Wilson, he does have good hands. He's very good at letting it go. However, he instinctively ends up shooting for the takedown as he's going forward. And I think if he does that a couple of times, Mads Burnell is going to be able to defend it. He's going to be able to lift his arms up. He's going to be able to move off, and either he'll land some strikes or get a takedown of his own. Whereas when Mads Burnell is on the feet, he has a very high guard. He has a great low hook to the body. He mixes up with a low kick as well, and he's got a very quick right hand that he sets up off those two techniques that was able to pop his last opponent quite a bit in between him securing several takedowns in that fight. Burnell is far more tactical in setting up his level changes, whereas I find JJ Wilson's last couple of fights very reactive. You know, he gets hit and then he shoots, whereas Burnell is sort of biding his time, although he did get peppered quite a bit with Espinosa with Elvin Espinosa in his last fight. Espinosa was sort of lighting him up on the feet, but he waited for the right second for Espinosa to extend, and then ultimately got to his hips and got him to the ground with very little energy, where I find JJ Wilson's usually dumping the energy into the striking, and then when it's not going his way, he's trying to get to the takedown. Burnell ultimately in this has the potential to push the pace, and I think Burnell's pressure and experience ought to prevail here, and that's why there's tremendous value at plus 110. I actually think Burnell should be in the books as the favorite here, but he's not. He's at plus 110, so you could jump on that. That's some great value. And then one of my most favorite fights on the card, one of the biggest plays that I'm going to take on for Friday night for the PFL is going to be Dalton Rosta against Sadibou. I really like this matchup. It really stood out to me. Dalton Rosta opened up as a plus 150 when they first gave out the lines on the PFL, and then he's risen to a minus 105. So it's a coin flip of a fight, but Rosta has relentless wrestling and extreme power, and ultimately the youth is on his side. Sadibou is almost 40. Sadibou C has a heavy kick game, and in my humble opinion, I think throwing kicks repeatedly for 15 minutes is far more tiring than attempting to grapple. At least in my experience, man, kicks tend to tire you out. They require a lot of energy and a lot from the body, more so than biding your time and finding the takedown, especially if you can catch that takedown off a kick. And ultimately, if those kicks are coming as consistently as C, and basically Rosta's able to catch one, man, he's going to be able to put him down. The guy has power, and his wrestling just does not quit. C was backed up consistently in his last fight against Andrew Sanchez, and Sanchez was able to find the hips consistently, although he didn't land the takedowns. I think Rosta will be able to find the hips just as consistent as Sanchez did. However, Rosta's tenacity, he also has a better tool set in order to get C to the mat and actually finish those takedowns. And when he's coming forward, Rosta also is good at letting his hands go. He's got a very straight, very quick 1-2, which he goes right from the 1-2 to the hips. You have to defend up high with the hands the way he throws it, and then all of a sudden he's on your hips trying to push you down for the takedown. I've seen both fighters have cardio issues in both their last appearances. However, Rosta showed more resilience to hold on compared to C's last opponent, Andrew Sanchez. C was breathing heavy, Sanchez was breathing heavy, but I just think if it gets to that point where both guys are tired and swinging, that Rosta's wrestling instincts are going to prevail over C, getting the knockout like he did to Sanchez. So ultimately, I think Rosta's youth's physicality and ability should outweigh C's striking ability by a lot. Obviously, C will have the striking advantage, but I just think his ability to control the fight, and Rosta showed that he can dictate a pace, will ultimately great. -105 at Dalton Rosta. It's a fantastic play. That's a co-main event. And yeah, just line up those three fights, and ultimately you're going to have a great card. There's 9 fights in total, so I do have one more thing for you for you guys that like to put it all together. I'll give you a plus 850 parlay right here. So what I want you to do is all 4 money lines. We've got Gadzi Rabanov against Mark Diakaze. Take Rabanov's money line. That's at -600. Take Aaron Jeffrey money line to beat Murad Ramazanov. That's at +180. There's a good shot that Aaron Jeffrey ultimately takes it. There's a great argument for him as well. Clay Collard and then Impa Kasanjane. Combine those 4 together, you've got -855 odds. It's a fantastic play for PFL. Lock those 3 bets in. You've got the full breakdown here on Fight Time Network. If you want that full breakdown in print, check out our winnable.com /fight time caps. We'll post those up there for you, and then we'll also have a little bit more this weekend in regards to the LFA and Cage Warriors, and I'll give you full tilt breakdowns on those in depth and analyzed as always. And stay tuned, because we got a Fight Time Network special. 2 former guests of the Fight Time Network have fights coming up on the LFA, and we're going to give them a shout out next time I see you guys in the social media world. So you know what time it is, guys. It's always fight time on Fight Time Network. And ultimately, enjoy the PFL this weekend. We'll be back in a little bit to talk about the LFA and the Cage Warriors. And of course, next week, we'll be hitting you hard with a coming off the break of the UFC Dark Weekend. Let's hit those books hard, and let's have a great ongoing weekend of MMA action. As always, catch you later.
Fight Time Network.